everybody. Good evening, everybody. So nice to have everybody in here again. I think some people are from yesterday, some people are quite new. Lovely to have you guys. As you guys know how we do, normally we start off with some LinkedIn's in the chat. Drop in your name, your LinkedIn, let everyone connect with you, get to know you, see what you're doing. I've just started off mine. Amazing. You guys are quite early, which is really, really good. I don't have people on time. I love that. Love that for you guys as well. You guys, we have Alexandra in the room again. She's ready to go horse. Yesterday, if you were here yesterday, you would know that yesterday was so good. And we're hoping that today would be even better as well. Even better. Hi, Mercy. Thank you so much. Hi, Tomiwa. Thank you so much. Drop in your name, your LinkedIn in the chat, guys, that everyone connect with each other. We'll be starting off in 1 minute, guys. Hi, Tanya. Hi, David. Hi, Nakira. Hi, Taliwani. Seeing names from yesterday, which is really, really good. Hi, Manasiv. Amazing. 6:05. I said 8. 6:05, guys. We're gonna start off because Alexandra is ready to go. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Centrica application support prep session. We're joined today by the one and only career coach, career strategist, consultant, Alexandra. She is very passionate about helping early careers, early professionals, and also career changes as well. She will be leading us to navigate what it means to have a good application today. So please, before I go on again, please welcome to the stage Alexandra as she leads today's session.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. As Demi said beforehand, my name's Alexandra Aileru. I am a career strategist and I'm very passionate about coaching people into the careers that they're going to love. And I help career changers and early years careers because if you can nail it now, then that means that you're going to have a smooth career for the rest of your time. And I'm also the founder of Confident Career Switch, and I'll be sharing one of my resources today. So if later on you decide that you want to use my resources or you want to book a session with me, then you are free to do so. Okay, right. I know that there are lots of questions concerning CV, and I want to touch on some of the questions first, and then what I'm going to do is talk you through how to articulate your value on your CV. And this might be a little bit different to what you've maybe been taught beforehand, but if you get this right, this not only helps you to have a great CV, it's going to help you in the interview, and it's going to help you to update your LinkedIn. So it's a triple threat, 3-in-1, all by doing this activity and using this particular resource. But like I said, please put your questions in the chat that you want to get answered concerning, Centrica, your Centrica application, but also just applications as a whole that require a CV, that require a cover letter. We will cover all of that today. So looking forward to seeing your questions. Yeah, 3-in-1, absolutely. We'll be covering all of that. And I would absolutely love your feedback on using the resource if you do choose to download it as well. So the chat's a bit empty. Are people still typing out questions? If not, then I will look at some of the
Guys,
questions.
if you have any questions, in particular CVs, cover letters, this is the time to drop them in the chat. We're going to do like a little 5 minutes questions before we go into the session. So if you have your questions, you want them answered, put them into the chat now so we can quickly go through that. What makes a cover letter stand out, Alexandra?
What makes a cover letter stand out? So number one, you need to get to the point. The second thing that you need to do is use the cover letter to show, I know this organization, I know what you do, I know what your value proposition is, and I align with this value proposition. So we're going to cover that formatting in a minute in terms of how you're going to structure your cover letter. The other thing that you want to do is also big yourself up. Talk about the amazing things that you've done. So have some really standout achievements that you would also put into your cover letter, and sign off by saying how amazing you will be when you join whichever team it is that you're applying for as well. So think about it. Whenever somebody reaches out to you, do you like it, especially on LinkedIn? So those of you on LinkedIn, hear me out. When somebody slides into your DMs and they make it all about them, you're kind of like, or if somebody reaches out to you and says how amazing you are, you would be like, oh, I'm so flattered first. Then you talk about yourself. That is a great way for you to, start your cover letter. Okay, so we want to make sure that we say amazing things about them. Then afterwards, we want to go into the amazing things about ourselves.
Amazing. Another question that I saw in here was in regards to graduated a couple of years back,
Hmm.
applying for grad scheme now. So there's like a 2, 3 year gap
Hmm.
and relevant experience. So what should they be highlighting in their CV and cover letter as they've graduated a few years back?
And to this person, have you worked since or have you not been working? Because it's
They've
two.
got they've got relevant experience.
Okay, amazing. So if you have relevant experience, I want you to see it as this. If you have relevant experience, then absolutely that's something that you want to be talking about in your cover letter, on your CV. Okay. I have relevant experience, but this is the company I want to work for. So because you have the relevant experience and that's going to speak for itself, but we're going to make sure that we are articulating our value through that. You really want to start off, for example, on your CV, talking about how the company and how, personal things that you know about the company or research that you've done about the company as well, and looking on their website for any or their LinkedIn page or anything like that, any of the relevant experience that you have that ties into the role or the department or the sector that you want to transition into. So it makes it sound like you're going to be the perfect fit as well. And in your cover letter, you also get the opportunity to explain, whilst I already graduated a couple of years ago and I already have some experience, this is where I want to be so that they don't count you out. Okay, so that's what we want to
Good,
do.
good,
The
good.
letter allows you to go
Another
into more detail.
another key question, I think we'll do this one and go
Yeah.
into the segment is how do you know what actually is useful for your CV and what's just taking up space? Some people are asking, is the community work important? Is that something that I need to leave in, put out? Like, how do I know what is important and what isn't important and relevant for me to put on the CV?
Okay, so this is why we're going to now change our CV into focusing on achievements. The more achievements that you write out, the more now that you get to select. So what you're going to do is just write out as many achievements as you possibly can from your university experience, if you've had any real life work experience, any projects that you've done, anything that's of value. We're going to go through all of those achievements that you've done. And then now you look at what you're applying to and pick the achievements that are going to be best suited to what you're applying for. You don't want your CV to be more than 2 pages. I know that people like want to put this and this and this, but is it relevant? Ask yourself, is it relevant? So write out as many achievements as you have, as you possibly have, as you possibly can, I should say, and then pick the ones that are most relevant. That's what's going to go on your CV. Okay. I think we'll do one more question and then we'll get started on the CV.
Okay, so one more question would be, let me just have a look at this. I know you mentioned at the start, a cover letter that gets to the point. What
Mm-hmm.
does a cover letter that gets to the point actually look like?
Oh, we'll cover that. That's fine. Well, I'll give you a step-by-step guide of what to
Perfect.
look for
Should we do one
cover
more?
letter. Yeah, that's fine.
Um, how can you tailor your cover letter and CV? I think something we can go over today, but how can you tailor your cover letter and CV without making it feel repetitive?
Okay, so the best thing to do is to have a master CV, right? Which has, most of the core things that you're going to be applying for. Because most of you are not applying for just one internship or just run one grad scheme. You're going to be applying for multiple. So what it would be good to do is look at past applications, and see what they're looking for. What are they generally looking for? That's what's going to be on your master CV. Then now, if Centrica asks you for something that's completely different to if you're applying to NatWest, then you tweak it for what Centrica is asking for versus what NatWest is asking for. But everybody needs to have a master to date. So I hope that you're taking notes as I'm going through this with you. Everyone tonight, if you don't have it today, you're gonna have a folder on your laptop, on your computer called Master CV. and cover letter. And that's going to have your master CV and your cover letter. And then every single internship, every single grad scheme that you apply for, every single job that you apply for, you're now going to create folders for each of them. Centrica, this was the cover letter and CV I sent. NatWest, this is the one I sent. You know, HSBC, this is the one I sent. So that when it comes time for the interview, you're not worrying about what you sent over to them. You have it stored already that you can refer back to what it is that you said and familiarize yourself with the CV as well. But you should know your achievements, you know, very well, because it's your achievements at the end of the day. And I think this is where we're going to go. We're going to actually start the session now in terms of what makes a great CV and how I want you to now begin to think about your CV moving forward. And this is also going to help you with your cover letter as well. Keep the questions coming in. And then Demi, please feel free to interrupt at any point whilst I'm going through the cover letter, not the cover letter, whilst I'm going through how to structure your CV, because there might be something that someone says and it's like, okay, I can go into a little bit more detail about it. So I will be able to see the chat here. Amazing. And then I'm going to share my screen. So let me know if you can see my screen. Yep, amazing. Okay. Right, I guess I can't the only thing is I can't, so now that I'm sharing the screen, I can't see the chat function, but we will, if you just speak up about a question and I'm happy to
Yeah,
answer.
I'll probably be here as well, just facilitating those questions. Don't worry.
Okay, no problem. So this document is called the Confident Career Switch Career Change Achievements Workbook, and I'm going to give you a link for you to download this as well. It's a very, very useful document that I use for all of my clients, and it gets you to, you know, think about your achievements first, right? So one of the main things that people struggle with and what they struggle with on their CV, what they struggle with in their interview, their LinkedIn, their cover letter is their achievements. So I want you to look at these 5 things, okay? And ask yourself these questions. Number 1, when was the last time someone said well done to you and what was it for? That is an achievement, whether that was at university, whether that was in your work experience, whether that was a project that you're doing personally outside of work. What did somebody say well done to you for? And some of you might say, well, do you know what? I don't have any work experience. Are there things that you do for your friends or for your family that they commend you for? Maybe you're really good at organizing something. That is an achievement. What was it that you organized? Maybe you're really good at problem solving. What problem did you solve? Maybe you're really good at delegating, so handing out tasks to people. What were you delegating? Okay, so that's one of the key things that I want you to be thinking about. So that's question number 1. Question number 2, have you ever stepped in to solve a problem no one else knew how to fix? This means that you have a variety of skills. So this shows that you're a problem solver. This shows that you are analytical. This can also show that you are being diplomatic. And these are all key skills that they're going to be looking for from you on your application. Okay, do you have these soft skills or behavioral skills or cognitive skills, the people skills, right? So have you ever stepped in to solve a problem no one else knew how to fix? Again, this can be in university, this can be in work experience that you've had, an internship that you've done beforehand, a grad scheme that you've done beforehand, helping family and friends. What was it that you did? How did you go about it? Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, have you improved a process? Have you saved time? Or have you made something efficient? If you can showcase these skills, each and every single internship, grad scheme that you apply for, they're going to love you. Because every single company wants to improve a process. Each and every single company wants to save time. Each and every single company wants to make something more efficient. And I'm going to add in a bonus one here. Each and every single company, this is the biggest one, wants to save money. So when have you done all of these things or each of these things individually? When did you improve a process? So, maybe something took unnecessarily long and you were like, I don't understand why this has taken so long. We can remove this step, or we can do this a different way completely. And you realized, oh, I made the process better. And as a result of improving that process, you most likely would have saved time as well. Okay. And also, as a result of that, you made something more efficient. And for those of you that have worked on projects or things for your friends, for your family, or in a previous internship, you may have put something in place that also saved money. So how much money was it that you saved? Okay, roughly. All right. We want to bring metrics into our CV on as many bullet points as possible. Why do we want to bring metrics in? Because when you bring metrics in, it shows that you understand not just the value that you brought, but how much of the impact there was. And I will talk about how to structure each of your bullet points as well. But these are key questions that get you to focus on your achievements, not just on listing out the responsibilities of what you've done. Okay, again, if you've got any questions, then please feel free to drop them in the chat. And Demi, if there's any questions that are burning, happy to be stopped and to cover those.
As of right now, there are no questions in the chat, so we can keep going.
That's great. Okay, question number 4. Have you ever convinced a manager or a superior to take action or do something they were opposed to? This, and I want everybody to write this down, this skill is called influencing without power. I'll say that again. This skill is called influencing without power. What does that mean? That means that you're getting somebody who doesn't report to you, right? Somebody who's more senior than you, somebody who's a manager, somebody who doesn't have to do what you're saying, but you manage to convince them to do something. That is one of the top skills that you need to thrive anywhere, because not everybody that reports to you, not in every single organization are you going to have people that report to you. But if you can be influential without having power, because obviously if your manager tells you to do something, you're going to do it because you know that you don't want to get in trouble. But if you are able to convince your manager, so this could be managers, superiors, this could be, maybe times where you've convinced people within your family who are older to do something. I want you to be thinking about that mindset, something that they really didn't want to do. How did you go about convincing them? What were the steps that you put in place? That's how you're going to show this particular skill. Okay, and last but not least, where have you supported others outside of your department, spurring them to take action or providing assistance? So again, this is influencing without power. Like I said, I would argue that this is the top skill. Okay. And again, where have you been able to influence people outside of your department to take action, or have you provided assistance? So it's two different things. Where have you got them to do something that maybe they didn't want to do? And you showing that you can influence other departments is great. This shows that you are great across an organization, that you're able to build networks, that if I can work with this department and know what's going on in this department, then I can use that intel and bring that into my department to make my department stronger. Okay, so that's in a work setting. So if you've worked in an internship before, if you've had paid experience before, then that's a really strong one. In university, and anybody who is on this call and you're like, right now, I don't really do anything outside of, going to university, I need you to start getting some experience, even if you create that experience for yourself. Okay, you don't have to wait for somebody to hire you. You don't have to wait to apply. You can put yourself forward for things at university. So university is going to be the easiest thing. Volunteering, can you volunteer in your university? Can you volunteer in an organization that's somewhere near your university? Do you have friends and family who have their own businesses? or they work for a particular company and they're looking for volunteers or paid work, this is one of the things that you're going to be wanting to do, because now you're going to validate that experience in a work setting. I'm not saying that you have to, but obviously it is really helpful if you do have that experience. Okay.
Yes. Alexandra, one question in the chat
Sure.
right now is when adding metrics to CV bullet points, how
Mhm.
can one decide on a reasonable figure if you don't have the exact data?
Okay, no problem. We will cover that when I talk about the structure. So please remind me of that question. I'm pretty sure I'll remember anyway, but we will talk about how I want you to structure it and, using figures as well. Okay, but does anyone have any questions on these 5 questions before I move on? If you have any questions on these 5 questions, then pop them in the chat. If not, then I will move on.
Yeah, there's no questions in the chat, I would say, so we can move on.
Okay, amazing. So step 2 is now, you're going to build out an achievements document. So before you touch your CV, you tonight are going to create an achievements document. Why are you going to do this? Because this is what's going to help you build out your CV, build out your cover letter, and structure your answers for interviews as well. So park your CV for now, focus on the achievements document. And how I want you to structure every single bullet point that goes on your CV is now going to follow this format. What you did, what did I do? And what would be really great is if people put in the chat some of the things, some of the achievements that are coming to their mind, and then I can help you structure them. So now, after this session, you basically have some examples of how you can structure them straight off the bat. Okay? So what you did, so the task, the project, or the responsibility, what was it? Why are we doing this? Because we want to let them know what we did. Okay. Recruiters are not mind readers, Okay, we need to explain to them what you did. Number 2, so the second part of the bullet point is the impact. So what was the result? If possible, this is where we're going to add measurable, a measurable outcome or numbers, basically your metrics. The metrics, again, like I said earlier, is your way of showcasing your impact, not just by telling it, but by adding a number. So that makes it more valid. The next one is how you did it. How did you do it? What were the steps that you put in place? What skills were used? What approach was used in order for you to be able to do this task? And last but not least, this is optional, but it's compulsory for your interview. So this is where you can be working on your interview and your CV at the same time. The competency. So when you go in for different interviews, a lot of the times it's competency based. So they are looking for, risk management, stakeholder management, your ability to plan, your ability to work with others. Research some core competencies and see which competency does my achievement link into, and it can link into more than one. Okay.
Okay,
So
Alexandra, so
yeah.
there's one question in the chat. What happens if you feel like you have no achievements?
Right. You have achievements, because going back to those questions, if you're telling me that you're struggling to answer any of those 5 questions, then I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you think that you're ready to apply for any internship. So that's why I'm really big on those first 5 questions, because somebody has told you that you have done something well. Somebody has commended you somewhere in the last couple of years. That's where you're going to start off. So question 1, so if I go back up to question 1, these are the questions. When was the last time somebody said well done to you? Somebody has said well done to you, and what for? Okay. You have solved a problem. Even if it's a problem with your friend, I'm sure you have solved somebody's problem. Or you've solved a problem for your parents. Yeah. Anybody who is an older sibling has definitely improved processes, definitely saved time, definitely made something more efficient, and you've probably saved your parents some money as well somewhere along the line. Okay. And these two examples, they may not be something for you directly because you may not have previous work experience. But again, like I said, going to examples of people within your family, for example, any volunteering that you've ever done, anything in university, maybe anything you did in A levels when you're in sixth form or college. These are examples that you want to be using. So if you think, well, in the last month or two, I haven't done anything, go back as far as possible, okay, to your sixth form and college experience. Right. So I hope that that answers your question. Any
Yeah,
questions? Yeah.
that's really, really good. One of the you mentioned for them to put the examples in the chat. One of
Yeah.
the examples for this task was someone created an application to help resolve water problems.
Okay, so you created an application, so an app to solve water problems. Yeah. Okay, amazing. So what you did, so I'm just going to put it in layman's terms and then you're going to go ahead and make this better. So you created an app for water to solve water problems. Can I get a little bit more context on that? What was this for? So was this for a company? Was this something that you created on your own? Just give me a little bit more like context, like just give me one sentence of a bit more context to help me structure this for you.
I'm trying to see what the person
And
said.
maybe like how long it took. You know, did you do it in a couple of weeks? Did it take a couple of months? Did it take a year? That kind of thing.
So for it was for coursework project and university, and it took
Mhm.
2 weeks.
Okay, amazing. So, and I want you to always start off strong whenever you are writing a bullet point. So you need to put an action verb. So implemented is a really good one. So, you know, that shows your leadership. So in your case, implemented water saving app or water efficient app. You know, for example, that would be the first part of your bullet point. Then afterwards, the impact of that. So the impact of that would be, and I'll talk about going back to the earlier question, which was around how do I use metrics? Okay, so I'm just going to use a random metric here, but I'll explain it as well. So the impact was that reducing water wastage or energy wastage by 20%. Okay. And lastly, how you implemented that, I'm sure you did some research. So you did some research, you did data analysis, data collection. Okay. You might have had some end users. So end users are basically going to be the people that you want to use this app at the end. Maybe you got some feedback from them. Okay. I'm sure that you probably created like a prototype, a test model first, or maybe this was the prototype. Okay. But basically, the three things that I'm pretty sure you would have done some research, you would have got some feedback from some end users or anybody who would have been interested in using this app. And then lastly, created a prototype for this. Okay. And that's you explaining what you did. Now, to make it refined, you need to make sure that each bullet point is no more than 40 words. So you're going to start with a key verb, a key action verb, implemented, water saving app, reduced energy wastage by 20% by utilizing data analysis, getting feedback from end users, and creating a prototype. Okay. Any questions on that one?
No, that's really good. No questions in the chat.
Okay.
Other people are just dropping their other different experiences as well. But
Okay.
being the way you've been able to break the first example down, I'm hoping they can also do that themselves as well to break it down.
Yeah. And so what I will do though is talk about the metrics. So I'll use an example. Say, for example, something at the moment, a particular process at the moment takes a month, right? But you managed to cut that down to 2 weeks. Yeah. That means that you save the process by 50%. You don't need to have the exact numbers. It can just be roughly. So, And people also ask, when should I use numbers versus when should I use a percentage? If the number is grand, like 1,000 or more, then throw the number in, like say the exact number of people that were impacted. That's great. But sometimes it's on a smaller scale, like maybe 10 people. And to recruiters, that might not sound like a lot, but actually, if it's only 10 people that's impacted, then what you're going to do is use a percentage because it can sound better. So if, for example, say, for example, the water app beforehand and what it was set out to do, maybe at lunchtime, it made it really hard for, you know, for 8 out of 10 people to get water, but then maybe you only reduced it to now 2 out of 10 people. No, sorry, I should do this the other way around. So only maybe at lunchtime, only 2 out of 10 people were able to get water, but then now you're able to get 4 out of 10 people to get water. Now you've doubled your efficiency, basically. Okay. So that's what I wanted to do, to think about it logically. What did I start off with? What did I end up with? And what's the difference between that? Okay. Any questions on that and how I've explained how to implement metrics?
No, no more questions. Should we go through one more example?
Okay, yeah, sure. Give me another example. So again, just making sure that it's as detailed as possible. So give me a sentence or two, and then I'll help you to structure it.
Yeah, so someone said helped assist a campaign for fall clothing campaign at a retail store, ordering products through analyzing data. As a result, the department ended up in the top 20 in the country and built leadership as he used that to use his own initiative to plan the layout of the product for display.
Okay, amazing. That's such a great example. I will need you, Demi, to feed me again what was said.
Mhm.
But in terms of a strong action verb to put at the beginning, that sounds like you led this. So I'm going to say spearheaded. That would be the action verb that you're going to start the bullet point with. And could you read it to me again, just so that I can...
So
what-
spearheaded, I would say, a campaign
hmm?
for a fall clothing line at a retail store.
Okay, so spearheaded a campaign for a full line for a retail clothing store. Okay.
And then so ordering products through the analyzing of data.
Mhm.
So he used his own initiative to plan the layout of the products for display. And then
Okay.
that resulted into them being the top 20 in the country as a department.
Okay. So then the impact then was that you shifted the organization into the top 20 companies in the UK. And how you did it, you spoke about it already, through data analysis, through maybe competitor analysis. Yeah. So competitor analysis is even better than data analysis. Data analysis is the broad term, but I'm sure you would have looked at competitors in order to see what they're doing. How can we outdo them? Maybe you hosted some workshops. Maybe you did some testing again through prototypes to see what was going to work and what wasn't going to work. You saw where people did well and where they didn't do well, and that's how you'd be structuring it. So spearheaded full campaign for organization, landed in the top 20 companies in the UK by reviewing competitor analysis, testing through prototypes, yeah, and selecting the best model through prototype testing, for example.
That's really, really good. I think off the back of that, a question that's been put into the chat
Yeah.
is how can one demonstrate a soft skill improvement on the CV with data as evidence?
Okay. So, um, when you are structuring your CV, and I would love for everybody to take notes about this, about how to structure your CV. Every single person at the top of their CV is going to have what is called a professional summary. Okay, so everyone has a professional summary, and that's about 4 sentences. So I'll talk as slowly as possible so you can take the notes as I'm going through. Sentence number 1 is going to say, give yourself a generic job title at the moment or a generic title and 3 skills that are relevant to the internship that you're applying for. because they're going to tell you the skills that they want, including soft skills. So soft skills and technical skills, they're going to tell you those things. So that's sentence number 1. Sentence number 2 is going to be an achievement, which you're going to have loads of, but that is relevant to where you're applying to. What are they asking for? Have you done what they're asking for? Okay, then add that achievement to your professional summary. Okay. After that, you're going to have sentences 3 and 4, which can be a combined sentence or you can split it. But again, you're going to talk about 3 additional skills and or experiences that you have that are relevant to the internship that you're applying for, and how you're going to bring value to the organization. So that's your professional summary. Okay. Under your professional summary, you're going to have a skill section, and it's going to be, you can call it soft skills, you can call it behavioral skills, you can call it cognitive skills. They all mean the same thing. They mean people skills. And underneath that, you're going to write technical skills. So generally, I teach my clients to have 3 for each. 3 of the top skills relevant to the internship that you're applying for, and then 3 technical skills, again, relevant to the role that you're applying for. And you're not just going to write the skills and call it a day. So, for example, stakeholder management as the skill. Once you write that skill, you're going to, in one sentence, just talk about how you view stakeholder management. That's how you articulate that skill, through that one sentence. It doesn't need to have metrics or anything, just explain what you did. One sentence for each and every single skill that's on your CV, because now you're explaining to them, not only am I telling you that I have this skill, I know how I've used this skill. And then the additional skills will come through in your achievements. Okay, any questions on that?
No questions. I was even
Oh, sorry, you broke up,
helping
Demi. I
to
didn't hear
rush
what you
and write the
said.
notes in the chat, so everyone should be able to. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah,
Yes,
I said I was even writing the notes down in the chat so people don't actually miss it, but that's really, really, really good so far.
thank you. Okay. Right, so obviously just conscious of time. And like I said, each and every single one of you is going to have access to this to download this. But this is a career change example, and you can see just how detailed it was beforehand, like what I did, the impact of what I did, and how I did it. So if anybody else put their examples in the chat and was like, I didn't get to cover it for them, you can see just this example, and then how you're going to condense it. So you can condense it in here, and then there's some methods of how to condense it in here as well. Okay, so look for patterns. Where am I? Analyze job description. So obviously I did say to make sure that you analyze as many internships as possible, because that's going to help you to create your master CV. And if you want to have a ChatGPT prompt, or whichever AI tool of choice, you can take, if you're like, oh, I'm really struggling to condense this down, then you can use this prompt that I've written here. I'm transitioning from this role to this desired role. Here is an achievement I have written from my current role. Insert the achievement based on the language used in, the job description, or in your case, in the intern description. Can you refine my achievement so it aligns with the expectations of this role? And bonus points say, please, make it maximum 40 words. Okay. Now, am I telling you to then copy and paste that straight into your CV? No, I want you to go through and read it, because sometimes ChatGPT is going to add a Z instead of an S. Sometimes it's going to use words that maybe you don't quite understand. Okay, so you can write it better than the AI tool. You're just using it to help you to condense it. Okay, any questions?
Yes, there's
Okay.
actually a question in the chat
Yeah.
is there a page limit for this ideal CV you're showing us? And if
Two
so,
pages, to no more than 2 pages. 2 pages is enough.
to be okay. And
Mhm.
if so, how then do they prioritize experiences?
So you're going to put your experiences in chronological order. So you start with the most recent experience at the top and you go back to your oldest experience. If you've actually been working, that one should have the most bullet points. So like maybe 4 or 5 bullet points. And then as you go back, it's going to have less bullet points. So whatever you did beforehand might have, 3, 4 bullet points. Obviously, if you've only had one work experience, then you'd add more bullet points. Do you understand? And it's okay if your CV is 1 page. It doesn't have to be 2 pages, but it cannot exceed 2 pages. Nobody, think about when you go onto Google, who reads the third page of Google? Nobody. Recruiters are not going to read the third page of your CV. So just make it 2 pages. Okay. And how do you prioritize what goes on there? Read the internship description and from the achievements that you're going to write out. And I want you to have fun whilst you're writing out these achievements. Yeah. So it should make you happy. Like, these are all the amazing things I've done. I want you to change your mindset and think, wow, I've done all of these amazing things. I know that when I join this internship, they're going to think I'm the best thing since sliced bread. Okay. That's how I want you to think. I don't want you to just have 3 or 4 or 5. Can you have 10? Yeah. Like, you should be excited about this. This is what you want to be doing, okay? So there is also a manual way to condense your bullet points as well. I'm just seeing if I've missed anything else out on here. The other thing I wanted to actually cover, and we'll talk about this more on the 31st in terms of the internship, but you can turn these achievements into answers for your interview by restructuring them in the STAR method. So situation, task, action, result. Okay. So
There's
that,
a question, there's
sure.
a question in the chat. For the hobbies and interest,
Hmm.
what do people actually write? And does it need to link back to the job role?
Okay, so your hobbies and interests don't have to link back to the job role. And I'm going to tell you to scrap calling it hobbies and interests. I'm going to tell you to call it projects. So, what are projects that you've worked on outside of work? Have you built your own website? Have you built your own application? Have you been helping friends and family to do something? Restructure it as projects as opposed to hobbies and interests. I'm, I'm going to be honest with you in terms of recruiters, for whatever reason, over the years, they've lost interest in the hobbies and interest part of a lot of CVs. And it's a shame because it's a way for you to connect with people. But I think what would be better is for you to have a project section instead, where again, you structure it in the format of what I did, the impact of what I did, and how I did it. That's going to be better for you and going to make you sound stronger, especially for those of you who don't necessarily have a lot of, work experience. Okay.
Thank you so much for that, Alexandra. Another question is, so someone said in their CV they've actually split the experiences into relevant work history, so e.g. tech roles, and
Mhm.
then other work history like hospitality. Should they put it under one experience? Should they put all the experiences under one title?
No, you can. So was it all with the same job or was it different?
Different jobs, but obviously one is more like what you would call like corporate, and more is more like hospitality in a sense.
Okay, no, that's fine. So no, you've got different experiences. Treat them, as you would respect them in their own individual right. I don't want you to see your hospitality job as less than because it wasn't corporate. Again, go back to the questions that I asked at the beginning, those 5 questions. In that role, you added value. So that's what you want to do. You want to focus on the sides of hospitality that link into the internship that you're applying for. So, yeah, you're going to talk about your corporate role and you're going to talk about your hospitality role. And you don't have to just say, oh, served customers and, your customers, we're going to, change the terminology. Your customers are your end users. That's something that companies know. So change the wording to suit the internship, because you still needed to make your end users happy, you still needed to make your stakeholders happy. I'm sure that there were ways in which you made processes more efficient. Please do not sleep on any of your experience. When I was in university, I worked in McDonald's, okay? And that job helped me, best believe, okay? I worked there over a summer. And that job, I knew how to articulate my value, and that helped me to get so many other roles.
That's really, really good. Another question
Mhm.
is, how would you describe college experiences or courses you've taken, for example, LinkedIn certificates in your CV?
So how would you structure it, basically certifications? Is that what
Yes,
you mean?
yes.
Okay, so in order for you to structure your achievements or certifications, write what that certification is. Okay, so you're gonna have a certification section on your CV then. It can it depends. If that certification is relevant to the internship, I want you to bring it up towards your CV. So your professional summary, then your skills section, then that certification that's relevant. If it's relevant, put it to the top of your CV. If it's not relevant, put it to the bottom of your CV or ask, should it even be on my CV in the first place? In that certification, write the name of that certification, and again, write a sentence to describe what you did in that certification that's relevant to the internship. Okay.
That's really good.
Okay.
That's really good. There's no more questions in the chat right now.
Okay.
So people are just dropping in what they have. If there's anything else you want to cover, the
I
last
think
10
we've
minutes, we
really
can go over that.
covered. I'm just quickly looking for um, the document on cover letters, but I don't think I can find it. Anyway, it's fine. I'll just run you through it. So this is how you would craft your cover letter, and I'll just go through this really quickly in the last less than 10 minutes. So at the top of your cover letter, you would put, your name, your email, phone, location, and do not put your address unless you want somebody to come round to your house for tea. You can just put London, Birmingham, Coventry, Manchester, Essex. That suffices. You don't need to put your details, your full address and everything. And then put your LinkedIn profile as well. Okay, so towards the top. The same, very similar structure for what you would be doing on your CV. Okay. Then next, if you have the name or contact of who is going to be processing the internship, then put their name. Okay. You can find, so I wonder if, Demi, would that be Lisa?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It'll group them.
Okay. So if you don't have the name of the person, that's fine. Just write dear recruiter. That would suffice. Okay. So dear recruiter, that's how you're going to title it. And then you're going to have an introduction, and your introduction is really important. Again, we're going to talk about all of the amazing things about the company. So in the introduction, you're going to write it, you're going to make it personalized, and you're going to talk about why you're excited about the company and about the role. Okay. And how you're going to do that is by tying in just amazing things that they're doing. So dear, I'm just going to say Lisa, for example. Dear Lisa, um, excited to join Centrica in whichever department it is that you're talking about, and do some research on that department. So what are some of the things that you're seeing on their website, that you're seeing on their LinkedIn? Can you find people who work in that department on LinkedIn as well and see the things that they're talking about? That shows that you've done even more research. Can you connect with those people and maybe speak to them ahead of time? You have up until the 31st. I'm not saying wait until the 31st, but just show that you're researching outside of the box in comparison to everybody else who's applying. Like, show them I know, I'm in the know. Okay. About the company and the role. So that's your introduction. Paragraph 1, you're going to cover 3 key skills from the internship that you have done and you're doing really well. That is on your CV, or if you want, you can talk about 3 additional ones maybe that you feel like you didn't get to cover on your CV. You can add them instead on this cover letter. Okay. And at least 1 past achievement that makes you sound amazing and ties in with the internship. So that would be your paragraph 1. So you can say, I'm skilled in X, Y, Z, and then full stop, the achievement. Okay. Paragraph 2 is what you bring. So paragraph 1, if you want to title that, not to send to them, but in terms of the structure, paragraph 1 was your background. Paragraph 2 is what you bring. So you're going to talk about how your past experience aligns with the job. You've already touched on that in paragraph 1, but this is where maybe, and especially for those of you who maybe you worked somewhere else beforehand, you've done an internship beforehand, you're a couple of years post-grad, this is where you get to explain why Centrica, why you're making the change, why you're making the move, or for those of you who don't quite have enough on paper experience, this is where you get to explain yourself a bit more. Because obviously on the CV, it's hard for you to articulate that. So that's what you want to do in this particular paragraph. So even though I've worked, or I've been a postgrad for a couple of years, this is what I bring, again, tying it back into the job description always. Or even though I don't have on paper experience, this is what I bring. Again, tying it to the job description. Okay. Paragraph 3 is why this role and this company. So we touched on that in the introduction, but in any good piece of writing, your beginning and your end need to tie to each other. So why this role in this company? Mention any company initiatives and how you fit in. So every time you say something amazing about them, you're going to say something amazing about yourself. That's what I want you to do. And then closing, thank them and express enthusiasm for an interview. Okay, so really excited about this internship and looking forward to having an interview with you soon. I know that was a lot in a few minutes. Does anyone have any, a question? Is there a burning question that anybody has?
In terms of, it's not in relation to this, it's in relation to structuring. So the question was, should the certifications also be structured like you advised in terms of writing achievements, like what you did, the impacts and metrics?
Right, so you don't have to, but say, for example, this certification ties in brilliantly with the internship, like this is something that they're actually asking for, then why not? Then definitely put an achievement on there. If it doesn't tie, you don't have to do that. If you can, great. If not, then you can just put a sentence in there to explain what you did for the certification.
Another question here is, how do we do research enough to make it not sound generic?
Okay, so I did mention earlier, but I'll cover it again. So number 1, the company website, because most updates are always on the company website. Number 2, you're going to look at their LinkedIn profile and any other social media platforms that they have. Okay, look at what they're doing at the moment. Next, this is where you're going to score the extra bounty points. Follow people that work in the organization, specifically in the team that you're applying for in the internship. What are they posting? So, what are they posting? What are they talking about? Connect with them. And, once you connect with them, say, I'm applying for an internship. Is there anything really interesting that you can share that doesn't breach any confidentiality that I can talk about? Or what's some things that you've worked on previously that you can share? Are there any news articles? Have there been any publications that's talked about what they're talking about? Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing. That's what you're going to be looking for.
Thank you so much for that, Alexandra. Any last minute questions? Um, give an example about how, as someone with non-corporate experience or year of graduating. I think you did talk about that at the start.
So what was the question again?
They wanted an example. I'm guessing here would be like of CV of someone from a non-corporate, oh, in the cover letter, sorry, someone that is from a non-corporate experience or is just a year of graduating, I'm guessing with no experience at all.
Okay, so this is where you're going to lean into any personal projects that you have done. So, what are some of the things that you've been working on outside? And if you answer this question, you say, I haven't been working on anything outside, you're going to need to start to do that. Okay, I know lots of places will say, oh, it's fine that you don't have any experience, but you need to showcase that you are articulating your value. So, right now, look in your life. Do you help your friends and your family do things? What do you help them with? Do you help them with their company? Do you help them with their work? Do you help them make things more efficient? And also for those of you who have parents who maybe lean on you for more things, maybe you help your parents with admin, maybe you help your parents with accounting, maybe you help your parents, kind of do and because maybe you've been doing it for years, you don't realize the value that you're bringing. But if in your family you help to organize events, I know that from a young age I was helping to organize events, for example. That's something that you could be talking about. Do you help your parents, run their household? These are all achievements. You're going to have to sit down and through those 5 questions that I gave beforehand, now break it down in terms of what you're commended for, how you do it, and how you do it really well. Okay. So if you don't have direct experience, then, how have you helped friends, family? How have you helped in your university? How have you helped your peers at university? Have you ever helped a lecturer do something? Have you ever helped somebody on social media? What skills do you have and how are you utilizing them? Because it would be such a shame for you to waste your skills.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Thank you so much to everyone for joining tonight's session. A massive thank you to Alexandra again for hosting tonight's session. I have just, yeah, Alexandra's just put in the link. I'm guessing that's to download the
Yeah.
ebook.
Yeah.
Perfect. So everyone, that's the link to download the ebook. Please, it's a free resource. So please do download it, use it for your planning of your CVs and cover letters as well. I've just put in the links to internship for Centrica, to our Discord community, to our newsletter, and finally to the interview prep session happening later on this month. You do not want to miss that. That's where you get to know about how you can actually use all this knowledge, transfer it to the interview, and also make sure you back that interview. I'm going to post in the link again. Please, please, please do download the resource Alexandra has posted again. I will also share that in the feedback email. But thank you so much to everyone for attending. Thank you again, Alexandra, and have a
Welcome.
wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
See you.